The scene opens with a heavy downpour. The protagonist sits on a bench as rain soaks his clothes and hair, yet he remains completely still. He shows no reaction to the weather or his surroundings, as if none of it matters to him. After a while, another man arrives holding an umbrella. He stops beside the bench, holds it over the seated man's head, and asks why he is there. The protagonist eventually answers, speaking about the state of the nation and how he lost his job. The standing man responds calmly and practically. He understands the hardship, but treats it as something that can be endured, not the end of everything. He suggests that even in difficult times, a person needs a goal, someone to meet or something to move toward. Hearing this, the protagonist says that he is going to meet someone. He enters what seems to be a daycare, and a girl leads a group of children in a cheerful activity, moving among them with ease. She invites him as well, persistently. The children gather around him, curious about his presence. They ask questions and watch him closely. He notices how Yuki reassures them calmly, instructing them to rely on her and feel at ease. He reflects on how capable and composed she appears, handling everything with care. Yuki gathers all the children for a storytelling session. She organizes them and prepares them to listen attentively. The children respond with excitement, eager to know what will happen next. She shows them how to tell a story and keep an audience engaged. When she stumbles while gathering the children for dodgeball, one of them says they can play on their own, leaving her embarrassed. Eventually, our MC approaches her. She continues speaking about her role, explaining that she performs well most of the time and always tries her best. Then, she suddenly pauses and redirects her attention to the children. She instructs them to play together and include one another, ensuring everyone remains involved. He sits away from the activity, watching from a distance. His thoughts turn inward as he feels he doesn't belong in a place like this, and that caring for children isn't meant for him. He imagines the childhood he never had and briefly wonders what life might have been like if Yuki had been a mother figure. While the children continue playing, Yuki suddenly stumbles and falls. The guy reacts immediately, standing and moving toward her. She steadies herself and signals that she is unharmed. He reaches out and urges her to be careful. She accepts his support and says she can continue. The children soon turn their attention to a new activity and eagerly gather supplies. Yuki responds with enthusiasm and prepares to join them. She invites the guy to participate as well, but he hesitates and chooses to remain where he is. As the activity begins, several children notice what he is doing and rush over. They see that he is sketching Yuki-sensei and excitedly suggest adding other creatures. He dismisses the idea, believing himself incapable. Yuki approaches and encourages him to continue, specifically asking him to include animals. When she looks at the drawing more closely, she reacts with clear delight. She recognizes herself and pats him on the head in appreciation. He reacts defensively, protesting that he's not a child, even as she keeps praising him. Later, he turns his attention back to her and wonders about her future at this place. He learns that the location is maintained by the church. Caretaking responsibilities usually belong to others, though she remains the central figure guiding the children. She questions his curiosity and mentions that she also lives there. He asks about her life before arriving. She pauses and draws him closer, attempting to recall something from the past. The moment fragments as memory and sensation blur together. She asks someone to draw something for her, watching as he draws. She reacts positively, finding the result charming and familiar. Noticing her sudden shift, he becomes concerned and focuses on her condition. She suggests taking a short break and apologizes, explaining that it happens at times. She admits that old memories may be involved, but explains that while the place feels familiar, her past remains unclear. His mind then shifts to a memory from the past. He recalls Yuki sitting alone in a quiet room. When he enters, she greets him openly and introduces herself using unfamiliar terms he does not understand. Her manner strikes him as odd, and he internally labels her behavior as strange. He remembers that this meeting occurred 5 years earlier, marking the beginning of their connection. Later, memories surface of Yuki behaving more childlike around him. She repeatedly seeks his company, suggesting shared activities such as games, meals, reading, and rest. She insists on staying close even when separate rooms are available. Eventually, they lie down beside each other, and she encourages closeness, saying that staying together feels warm and comforting. He remains cautious, staying alert rather than relaxing. He notices the camera nearby and realizes they are being observed. When Yuki grips his arm, he reacts with irritation and questions whether she always clings to others this way. Yuki struggles to explain herself. She admits uncertainty about her behavior and reveals that her memories are incomplete. She states that when individuals in her role are replaced, their past experiences are erased because they are seen as unnecessary. Hearing this, he reacts with anger toward the institution, criticizing it for treating people as tools rather than human beings. He expresses sympathy for her condition and recognizes a similarity between them. Suddenly, Yuki sits upright, energized by a new thought. She proposes becoming friends. When he reacts with confusion, she takes his hand and shares her fear of forgetting again. She asks him to stay beside her if that happens. He turns away and chooses to end the interaction, deciding to sleep. Yuki settles down as well, accepting his decision as the room grows quiet. She rests her hand on his waist, startling him. A strange warmth spreads through him, a feeling he doesn't yet understand. He convinces himself that this is why he needs to learn everything about Yuki and her situation. The following day, he helps organize the children, calling them together as it becomes time to leave. One girl shows a drawing and asks for clarification. Yuki praises the artwork and points out the figure depicted. He offers brief acknowledgement, lacking the ease shown by the others. Another child gently advises him not to strain himself as the day ends. Later, Yuki sits beside him on a bench in the open area. She thanks him for his help and mentions seeing him again soon. He distances himself, stating that he does not belong there. He views the environment as overly gentle and artificial, unsuitable for someone like him. He assumes his presence is unwanted. Yuki questions this assumption and expresses her desire to stay together. She moves closer and embraces him, telling him that his presence matters and that she is happy beside him. As she holds him, his thoughts spiral inward. He becomes acutely aware of his emptiness and a growing, overwhelming longing. His heartbeat quickens as he registers her warmth, closeness, and scent. After a moment, Yuki hesitates and shares a personal hope. She wonders whether he could become someone especially important to her. She explains that forming such bonds may be difficult at first, but having many connections brings joy. Her words linger between them. He understands that she is far more isolated than she appears. In the past, she often wept at night, and he stayed nearby to help her settle. Seeing her cheerful now fills him with mixed feelings. Part of him wonders if it would be easier if the past were erased, especially since she no longer remembers him as he remembers her. She is admired by many, while he exists among others who are merely counted as companions. Back in the present, these memories weigh heavily on him. He turns his frustration inward as a selfish desire takes shape. He despises the feeling, yet cannot deny it. When he is with her, he feels like a person rather than an object. Without her, he believes he would have collapsed under the weight of his own existence. Another memory surfaces. He recalls taking hold of her hair and choosing to remain by her side, deciding to stay for now. He exhales, thinking she may notice something now. She excitedly elaborates on shared activities, moving forward while he stays silent, unable to match her energy. His thoughts darken. He wonders what he must do to change her feelings, whether caring for children is all he can offer, and how her lost memories might be restored. He becomes consumed with claiming a place in her life that belongs only to him. As he reconsiders, she approaches again, asking if he's tired or needs a stuffed toy. He responds minimally, brushing aside her concern. Inside the church, two sisters are engaged in a quiet conversation. They notice that Yuki did not appear for the early gathering, which feels unusual for her. One of them reflects on how rare it is for Yuki to sleep past morning, and wonders whether she will arrive in time to welcome the children. At the same time, Yuki lies alone on her bed. She holds her toys close as she cries, calling out for Fumiya. She asks about the time, her breathing unsteady. Later, Yuki reaches the place where the children have gathered. She greets them and explains that she arrived later than usual. Her attention then shifts to what the children are surrounding. A small kitten is nearby. Yuki studies it and considers that it may have been separated from its home. One child mentions having fed it, while another wonders whether it already has a name. Several children eagerly suggest names, speaking over one another. Yuki listens carefully to each suggestion and responds kindly, appreciating their ideas. As she prepares to offer her own choice, her thoughts pause. She begins reflecting on names themselves and briefly wonders how her own name was decided. Afterward, she walks out to the grounds and approaches the quiet guy standing there. She notes he seems similar to a cat that just shows up, then asks him to tell her his name. She sits beside him and observes that he appears to have forgotten things. She questions how he knows who she is despite that. He explains that he relies on instinct and claims to have an unusual ability. Yuki reacts with curiosity and interest. Internally, he dismisses his own explanation as foolish. When the topic of names returns, he offers to show proof of who he is. He produces several identification cards and licenses. Yuki carefully examines them and notices that there are many, each one different. None of the photos seem accurate. She wonders which one is genuine, while he thinks to himself that none of them truly are. Yuki picks a card and reads the name, Owen. He's surprised, realizing it's one of many false cards and that none show his true identity. She introduces herself and calls him Owen, accepting the name without hesitation. He reflects that the face on the card resembles him, yet it does not feel entirely right. Yuki then explains that names are important because without them, it becomes impossible to tell individuals apart. When he questions her reasoning, she explains that writing names on belongings helps keep track of ownership. She shows that she does the same with her own things, since they often get mixed up with her sister's. He responds that the purpose is simply for others to recognize what belongs to someone, even without written labels. He compares the idea to leaving a visible mark instead. Yuki doesn't understand at first and asks him to explain. Seeing her confusion, he elaborates further. Yuki then understands, but doubts it would really show ownership. She thinks it over and concludes that without something truly unique, it wouldn't work. He agrees and accepts her reasoning as he prepares to leave. Yuki watches him and asks if he's heading home already. Later, inside the building, a child suddenly shouts after spotting a kitten. The quiet man reacts at once, stepping forward and insisting it be removed. Ignoring their hesitation, he bends down, picks it up, and takes it away himself. In the past, Yuki pointed out a snake nearby. The guy notices it and is surprised because she's usually calm around insects. Owen stands in the street with his foot pinning another man down. The man trembles and begs for mercy. Owen shows no compassion, coldly demanding submission and humiliating him, treating him like something less than human. At daycare, Yuki extends her hand toward him once before. She had asked him to repeat a simple gesture. He remembers accepting her hand without resistance and how natural it felt at the time. The contrast unsettles him. His gaze shifts to the children nearby. They are gathered in a small cluster, watching from a short distance. Owen's attention returns to Yuki. He studies her closely, wondering why he is forced into this role. He questions why he is treated like a dog rather than someone equal. He wants her to remember the past, yet he knows he cannot push her. For now, he chooses to go along with the situation, aware that she has lost all memory of her life before arriving here. The frustration settles heavily within him, unspoken. The children begin playing among themselves, assigning roles as they play house. One declares himself a vendor, another takes on the role of a refined young lady, a third insists on being a parent. Yuki chooses a role as well, shaping herself into something simple and ordinary. When all roles are decided, Owen is placed into the position of a pet. Without question or debate, the scene grows stranger as the children act out their game. The child playing the parent approaches with a stuffed bear in hand, signaling a shared meal. One child pretends to eat bread. Another acts as though consuming Yuki herself. Yuki responds with laughter, inviting Owen closer and encouraging him to join. Owen realizes that he is being included, even welcomed, and steps forward without hesitation. Just as he moves closer, one of the children interrupts sharply. The child insists that Owen is not allowed to share what the others have. According to their rules, the dog must eat something separate, something meant only for animals. Yuki immediately apologizes and accepts the rule without argument. Confusion rises within Owen. He questions why such strict boundaries exist in a game that already feels meaningless. The situation feels unreal, like a distorted version of a family. He wants to protest and respond sharply, but he holds himself back, swallowing every remark he longs to release. Owen sits still and silent. Two children watch him closely as someone arrives with food outside the room. When he doesn't respond, they assume he's asleep, uncertain what to do. Inside his mind, his thoughts drift away. His attention shifts toward a task he believes must be completed immediately. His thinking becomes methodical, focusing on how to end something efficiently. Just then, someone from behind pushes him down, commenting that it was worth trying so many times, believing this time is crucial to the future he wants with Yuki. Believing the meeting was inevitable, Owen ignores Kazuki's shock and the disbelief on his identical face. To him, no explanation is needed. He sees the other man as a fragment of guilt, another version of himself, or something born from a different reality. The label doesn't matter. What matters to Owen is control. By staying within the other man, he believes Yuki's lost memories will remain buried. The restrained man realizes that killing Owen may be the only way out, but Owen is already certain of the outcome. He believes the other will be the one who disappears. Internally, Owen considers the knowledge he possesses about Yuki's memories. He implies that there is far more the other man does not understand. Through thought alone, he explains that he will gradually wear him down until nothing remains. He counts the days precisely, each passing moment moving toward a future in which he believes Yuki will belong to him. The importance of that day is unmistakable to Owen, even if it remains unclear to Kazuki. He struggles, unable to grasp the full situation. Still, he understands that allowing Owen to continue will mean losing Yuki. He lowers himself before Owen in an attempt to interrupt him, but Owen's attention has already shifted. He notes that the children rest in the afternoon, leaving Yuki alone and within reach. His thoughts dwell on being close to her, imagining her presence. He wonders how differently he would act if he had full control. His thoughts spiral into obsession, filled with ideas of possession and shutting out everyone else. In his mind, he imagines a future where Yuki's attention never leaves him. Everything centers on him alone. The fixation grows more extreme, stretching endlessly forward until even death becomes part of that imagined, unchanging bond. Disbelief crosses the other man's face as Owen's thoughts pour on without pause. Their intensity is overwhelming, leaving no space to interrupt. In the room, Owen lies unconscious while Yuki watches over the children. They explain that he fell asleep and place a blanket on him, quietly observing his tense expression. Yuki gently lets his head rest on her lap, creating a calm, quiet moment as the children nap. Her presence is steady and comforting, and the children notice the care in her actions. Though his body is still, Owen's mind keeps moving. He dwells on weakness, frustration, and his own failures. His thoughts return to the restrained man, considering whether ending him would be both necessary and merciful. Yuki continues tending to the children with careful, deliberate movements. Owen fixates on her, believing his happiness depends entirely on her presence. He imagines a future where she belongs only to him and is ready to eliminate the real one thousands of times in his dreams to decide who will stay by her side. Eventually, he wakes as a chime signals the end of nap time. The children stir, and Yuki gently helps them wake, greeting each one warmly. Owen watches in silence and tells Yuki that they met 5 years ago. Before he can explain further, his other self convinces him to stop. Those memories can only return through Yuki herself, and without her awareness, telling her now is pointless. She apologizes and says she'll try to remember. Then, she adds that once she does, they can talk a lot. A young girl excitedly invites Owen to play doctor. He agrees, though he looks tired from lack of sleep. The girl studies him, wondering if something is wrong with his body. Owen realizes that hearing Yuki's voice before sleeping makes him restless and unable to fully relax. Nearby, Yuki notices signs of mischief and calls it out. One of the girls points to a boy behaving inappropriately. The boy reacts defensively, threatening to involve everyone instead of stopping. Owen steps in immediately. He lifts Yuki into his arms in front of the children, unimpressed by the situation. Yuki protests loudly, objecting to being handled so casually. Owen makes a teasing remark about her appearance, which embarrasses Yuki in front of the children. She angrily strikes him and calls him shameless. The children side with her, reminding Owen that he is an adult and should act responsibly. Later, Yuki returns after changing her clothes. She proudly shows that she has resolved the issue and addresses all the children, including those who caused the trouble, inviting everyone to get along and play together again. She confidently believes this will prevent further teasing. Watching this, Owen reflects silently. Even this quiet and gentle life has limits. He begins counting the remaining days, knowing that time will eventually wear down everything he is trying to protect. He recalls his alter personality's warning and struggles to place the season and exact day. He wonders why Yuki's memories refuse to return when his alter ego is nearby, and realizes he cannot let that guy interfere. Owen remembers that when he said hearing Yuki's voice before sleeping disturbed him, he actually meant a recording made earlier that day. The memory frustrates him, and his irritation grows. Yuki notices his discomfort and jokingly suggests it might be from poor nutrition, casually mentioning milk as a possible solution.